What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're working on a really special Dodge Ram SRT-10, which is very special to me because it's one of my absolute dream trucks. For those of you who aren't familiar, this is actually one of the fastest production trucks ever made, with a whopping 500 horsepower in 2004, paired with a 6-speed manual gearbox. So very special truck, and I've wanted to own one of these for a really long time. I finally found the right one at a decent deal and I picked it up. So this is actually my truck, and it took me a little while to make this video. As you guys will see in numerous clips, you can just tell it took me a really long time, and I'll talk about more about it later. But pretty much it was really, paint wise, really abused. Mechanically it was in pretty good shape but when I got it, but the paint is really abused, as you guys can see here, with tons of swirls and scratches and a whopping load of brake dust on the wheels and just a bunch of grime and grease built up on the engine bay. But there's that beautiful V10 hiding underneath all that dirt. So as I was saying, this is one of my dream trucks for a really long time, and as you guys know, I already owned a Ford Lightning on the other video I've done. If you guys haven't checked that one out, I'll pop a link to it right up top so you guys can check that one out as well. But so this is going to be a complete transformation. It may not look that bad. The interior is in pretty decent shape, but the paint was very tricky, and I will talk more about it later. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. So to start off this detail, I'm going to start with the underbody, and here I'm just going to use my chemical sprayer filled up with super clean degreaser at full strength. Just going to soak down everything on the underbody, the tranny, all suspension components, just getting every nook and cranny, anywhere there's grease or grime. Do it as many times as needed and get it all rinsed away with a pressure washer. And then I'll go ahead and take some acid-based wheel cleaner and soak the complete underbody once again to brighten up some of the aluminum components and get rid of any surface rust. Then I'll neutralize it later on. On the acid clips, I didn't pick up too many because my camera was getting a little bit too wet and I don't have a case for it. So I try to show you guys as much as possible on the underbodies, but sometimes it gets a little dangerous for my camera, as you guys will see in a later clip. So pretty much same process for the engine base, full strength degreaser, multiple times, rinse out with the pressure washer, and then take some acid base cleaner and brighten up some of the aluminum. Now, boy was I scared cleaning the engine on this thing. I was literally terrified. I've never worked on a Viper motor before, so I mean, this isn't your typical, Toyota, Honda. But I tried steam on some numerous spots around the intake and the radiator, and it just literally did nothing. So I had to take the risk and clean the engine bay. There was tons of grease from a previous valve cover leak that was built up right around the bottom of the head and some of the exhaust manifolds. So there was really no choice. I tried to be as careful and as quick as possible with the pressure washer. So I didn't get it 100% perfect, but I wanted to stay as far away as clean this engine bay as possible. So I rinsed it down really quick and try to get in there with a few brushes to get in some of the nooks and crannies instead of getting all the high pressure on any of the wires or anything. So here I'm pointlessly cleaning the rims because I realized that I'm going to be pulling these anyway to do a polish on them. and then I'm also going to be cleaning the brake calipers while the wheels are off and wheel wells. So this was kind of a waste of time, but enjoy the clips anyway. And I also I kind of realized it halfway, so I really didn't do that good of a job on the wheels. So right after this clip, I was getting ready to record the pre-rinse, and boom, my camera just fell right on the ground. It did not survive this fall. So here, these next clips are from a few days later, when I bought a new camera. And here I'm using some iron decontamination spray by Meguiar's, just soaking down all the paint. Then I'm gonna get it rinsed away with the pressure washer. So before touching the paint, I want to get a little bit of a light degreaser, which is mixed about 6:1 on all the paint and trim. Since this truck came out of Alaska, there's a lot of built up road grime that just didn't come off with the iron decon. So here I'm going to soak it down and pressure wash it away. So first thing before you go straight to the comments, the tire sticks out a lot more than the lip of the wheel, so it's not scratching the rim by laying it right down on the ground. However, I did move it onto a carpet anyway, just because, but I just figured I'd mention that. So moving on to cleaning the tires and wheels after getting them pulled off. Here I did start with using the Grio's heavy duty wheel cleaner, but it wasn't necessarily doing the job I want, so I switched over to my acid based wheel cleaner, and I'm also going to be using some super clean at full strength on the tires. And same process here for the wheel wells and the brake calipers. Just using my acid based cleaner to get some of the built up grime and brake dust lifted off them, and then some super clean degreaser as well. So if you guys are wondering why I didn't pull the seats out of this truck, I unbolted them, not realizing that in Dodge, the front seats, or I don't know if it's just on this truck, they come out as one piece. They don't actually separate. So for me to remove these was a big risk of me bumping into the door jamb and scratching the truck, or kind of scratching some of the plastic, which this truck is, it's a really rare truck, and I didn't want to risk damaging anything for pulling seats out. However, I wish I could have, because there was a really tricky stain on the passenger seat, as you guys will see in some later clips. I ended up getting out, but was really tricky to get my hand under there. However, the interior wasn't too dirty in this truck, so as an alternative, I used my compressed air and just really blew under the seats multiple times to make sure any loose dirt that was trapped in between the seats or in the tracks was blown out. And then I'm also going to be using my Tornador velocity vacuum on all the carpets. So after getting all the leather cleaned up, I'm going to be extracting the Alcantara portion of the seats. Now, Alcantara can be very, very tricky. Suede as well. You got to be very gentle with it. So here I soaked it all down with my carpet solution, and then I'm going to take a horsehair brush and lightly agitate it. Go only one way with it, and then kind of just do a sweeping motion and then get it extracted. Now, immediately after extracting, I'm going to go ahead and blow some compressed air to lift the fibers back up, and then take a dry microfiber towel and just kind of twist some of the fibers and lift them up, if that makes sense, just to get them not laying flat. So what you don't want to do to Alcantara is have the fibers laying flat. It'll kind of ruin the whole finish of it. Then you got to get one of those special brushes, and you can revive it, but it is really tough sometimes. If you take it too far, you can ruin the seat or material. So just something to keep in mind. Alcantara is very tricky. Little side note here, I'm not sure if this truck uses Alcantara, micro suede, or actual suede, but I usually use pretty much the same method. Also, another thing to keep in mind when dealing with those types of materials, it's never a good idea to get them soaking wet. However, in this case, I had to. It almost looked like there was built up grease, kind of like being from at a mechanic shop or whatever. So on both seats, so I really didn't have a choice. I tried using steam and just a microfiber before filming, and it just wasn't doing the job. So I had no choice but to risk, saturating the seat. So as you guys can see here, there's a nasty orange stain that was just chilling under the seat. I really wish I could get under here just to get, well, I did end up getting most of it out, but I banged my hand against the seat track about 500 times, which was very annoying. But here I just took my steamer and just kind of shoved it in there, and then squeezed the extractor handle as far forward as I could. Then any remaining soap or leftover stain, I just took a microfiber towel and my steamer and just kind of scrubbed it away, and then got it all wiped away. So it actually came out really good. There was none left of the stain, but it was really tricky and took a lot longer. So before starting the whole paint correction on this truck, I'm going to be removing as much stuff as possible. So I got the door handles removed. Here I'm going to be pulling the tail lights. I'm going to be pulling the rear tailgate handle and the wing off as well. So for the majority of the detail, I used M110 compound as well as a microfiber cutting disc by Meguiar's. However, there were some really deep scratches on the truck that I did break out an extra cut disc on a rare occasion. And certain parts of the truck were a little harder to cut than others. I do suspect that it's been touched up quite a while ago around the hood area. The paint on the hood was really soft as opposed to the rest of the truck. It was really hard, but it was very tricky paint to deal with. Ended up doing a 3-stage paint correction on this truck, as you guys will see later on. As for another tricky thing to deal with on this truck was the paint on the cladding was a lot softer than the paint up top. Probably because it's plastic, and same thing went along with the rear and front bumper. So finishing this, a key factor in getting this paint as close to perfect as possible was using compressed air and constantly blowing out residue out of these pads. I can't tell you guys how important it is when you're trying to perfect paint on blowing out your pad. If you guys ever heard of ammo detailing, he's a big believer in this method. Some people call it Kevin Brown method, but residue control is very important when you're doing paint corrections. And as you guys can see here, I'm blowing out the pad very frequently and always checking my work with a scan grip light. Also, something I forgot to mention, I am using a yellow polish pad to remove the swirls installed by the, or defects I should say, installed by the microfiber pad and compound. And I'm also going to be using Sonex Perfect Finish as a polish. So one thing I tried to avoid when doing this detail was removing the badges on this truck. But as you guys can see here, the paint beneath the badges was very bad. I even tried getting in there by hand using my Nano Hybrid, which is like a 1-inch polisher, and I still couldn't get it. So I went ahead and pulled the badges off as safe as possible, just using a little bit of rag material and then just rubbing it off with my thumb and some steam, and then buffing off any leftover residue with a microfiber pad. And if you ever do use a microfiber pad for this, you got to toss it away. I used a really old one, and it kind of sucks because I already polished this tailgate out, but it didn't sit well with me trying to leave that. And I am going to be applying a ceramic coating on the truck later on, so I just couldn't see myself leaving all that crap in badges. Now, the reason I didn't pull off the Viper powered badge right beneath it was because those are very expensive, and I got in there by hand as much as I could, so that one came out pretty decent. But the larger chrome badges they was just not doing it for me. There was way too much flaw beneath those badges, so I went ahead and pulled them off. And I will be reinstalling them later, and I have some clips of me doing it as you guys see later on in the video. So moving on to polishing the wing, and as you guys can see here, I hit it up with some compound first to see if I get these water spots out. I think this is one of the worst water spot damage I've ever seen on paint. I don't know why the wing was really water spotted. It almost looks like someone removed it before and just left it by a sprinkler for a long time. I'll pull in the camera a little bit closer as you guys see later on. You'll see the before and after, but here I'm going to hit it up with some Chemical Guys water spot remover. because after, even with compound and a microfiber pad and using heavy pressure, it still wouldn't get none of the etching from the and calcium buildup from the water spots. So here I'm really rubbing on it as a first step, and then I'm going to recompound it and then polish it, and I'll show you guys the after results. As you guys can see here, a big difference. There is a couple of deep scratches, as you could probably see if you really pause the camera on that clip. And that's pretty much the thing with the whole truck. There's some deep scratches. You got to imagine this truck came out of Alaska and it was snow brushed its whole life. So that little rocks get trapped in there. It was probably a brush wash truck as well. And from all those buffer swirls that was behind there, it looks like someone tried to correct them before with like a wool pad. I don't even want to know. But there wasn't a whole lot of paint left on this truck, I can tell you that. So I was trying to be as safe as possible, but trying to get it as close to perfect as I could before applying the ceramic coating. Also, before applying the ceramic coating, I went around the whole truck with some red touch-up paint. This took several hours to get all of them, so I actually didn't record all of it, but just wanted to give you guys a quick example. So here I'm going to be using some Car Pro eraser, getting it prepped for a ceramic coating. So to correct the defects on the wheels, I'm going to be using a combination of some Mother's Mag and aluminum polish along with some M110 compound, and I was just applying both at once. However, these wheels are factory clear coated, and when I pull the camera in a little closer, you guys will see no matter how shiny you get the clear on these rims and how many scratches you pull out, the finish beneath the clear coat on these have a lot of defects, factory sand marks and kind of marring underneath the clear layer. So there's no way to get it unless you strip these wheels and then, you know, polish out the mag and then re-clear them. And I'm actually going to be redoing these wheels because there is curb rash on 2 of them, and I will be doing that later on. So here I did bring some shine back to the rims as best as I could, but even from factory, these wheels never had as deep of a shine like chrome or anything. I've seen pictures of these trucks when they were new, and I remember them being new, and the wheels still had some defects. I still have a 2017 RAM RT that has a similar style wheel with a polished aluminum, and it's still kind of the same thing when I bought that truck new. A lot of defects beneath the clear coat and drives my OCD crazy, but I ain't gonna go stripping the clear off these original rims. So, and then to polish them up, I used a polish pad, just regular, I think I used Sonex Perfect Finish. And to clean up any residue, wax, or compound, or whatever you want to call it, that I got in the tire, I went ahead and used some super clean degreaser, a brush, and my steamer, and got it all cleaned up and looking nice and fresh. So the reason I chose not to tape it, I didn't want to get any residue from the tape bumping into the edge of the wheel, then kind of spreading glue all over, and I really hate using tape when I don't have to. It just takes a lot longer, and the residue from the glue can become very annoying. So on the rims for final top coat, I'm going to be using my Hydro Slick by Chemical Guys. It's a ceramic coating wax, and pretty much it does a pretty good job. Now the reason I didn't invest in a real ceramic coating on these rims was simply because they are going to get redone. Like I said, they have curb rash on some of them, so I'm going to get them all refinished at some point and probably high polished and get the old clear stripped off and take care of that whole situation later on. So didn't see really investing in an $80 coating. So moving on to the glass, I just want to show you guys a quick example. So here I took some invisible glass and microfiber towel and really wiped this thing, and you guys can see there's tons of etching. I just did as an example, I knew it wasn't going to work. So you can see all the etching from the water spots that I was talking about, a little bit that was on the wing as well. So here I used some acid-based wheel cleaner in a rag, and it works wonders on glass for calcium buildup. Acid is a really good calcium remover. You just got to be very careful with it. So here you guys can see the difference from one acid wipe and then a glass cleaner wipe, and it looks completely different. So to get some of the heavy water spots and grime that was built up on these badges off, they're soaking in a bucket right now on the side offset from the camera with some acid-based cleaner once again. And here I'm just going to agitate it with a brush, and in the little bucket lid here I'm just using some regular water, just kind of double dunking them so acid doesn't soak on them too long. And then I'm going to get them dried off with a microfiber towel and then lay them on some of the 3M glue. And as you guys can see here, to rebadge it, I'm going to be using a razor knife. This took a really long time. I sped up some of the footage. I didn't record all of it, but I was very tedious on how I cut the glue because I didn't want any residue showing. So it's very hard to get it perfect, but I did manage to do a pretty decent job, as you guys will see later on. So I did install these, but this was a very tedious job, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was getting anxiety from the camera just staring at me and me not getting these right, so I actually killed the camera. I did plan on recording the other side, but I kind of just ran through it, and then next thing you know, I was kind of out of time. So I hope you guys are not too mad about that last clip, but I just, it was really difficult for me to, it's kind of a one shot and one only thing, so I really didn't want to screw up. But moving on, here I'm dressing the engine bay with some stone and trim shine. Then we get it wiped away. So in case you guys didn't notice, the firewall protector is gone. I threw it away. It was all ripped up from someone else trying to clean the engine before me. And if you look in the clips earlier on when I was washing the engine bay, it was all ripped up. So it wasn't me. But I got it removed and I'm going to replace it later. So moving on, I'm using some Chemical Guys banana spray wax. And the only reason I'm doing this is just because it's not for protection or anything. I know a lot of you guys hate on this spray wax, but I really like it for cleaning up any streaks or any sort of like leftover compound or anything. It works really good and it's very streak free when using 2 microfiber towels. I know I could use a little bit more expensive spray wax like another ceramic or whatever, but a lot of those are very streaky and I don't like the finish on them. If you guys have one that you recommend, let me know. I've heard G-Technic makes a pretty nice one, but I haven't tried it yet. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I did detailing it. This was a dream come true for me, one of my absolute dream trucks. Still maybe a few more videos down the line for this truck, just for the wheel repair and a couple other things that I'm going to do, a couple upgrades. So if you guys are interested in seeing more content of the SRT-10 or even the Lightning, let me know in the comments. Also, if this video gets up to 10,000 likes, I plan on doing a drag race between this and the Lightning. So if you guys like to see that ultimate 2000s muscle truck drag race, let me know. Get this video to 10,000 likes, share it. Make sure you leave the video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Also, before you leave, can you guys just smash the subscribe button? It's really not that hard. If you guys don't like my content, you can always unsubscribe. It's free. See you.